Saint Charles de Foucauld, The Holiness of a Hidden Life. What if the greatest transformation of your life happens in silence? What if God is not calling you to do more, to speak louder, or to be seen, but to love more deeply in places no one notices? Tonight, we enter the story of a man who searched the world for meaning, lost everything, and found God in the hidden corners of ordinary life. This is the story of Saint Charles de Foucauld. Charles de Foucauld was born into wealth, comfort, and privilege. From the outside, his life seemed secure, but inside, Charles was restless. He lost his parents at a young age. He drifted through adolescence without purpose. He rejected faith, discipline, and direction. He sought meaning in pleasure, in adventure, in control. He joined the military, travelled across North Africa, explored distant lands. Yet the more he experienced the world, the emptier he became. Charles once admitted, "I lived as if God did not exist." And that absence slowly consumed him. While travelling through Morocco, Charles encountered something unexpected. He saw Muslims stopping everything to pray. Not because it was convenient, not because it was impressive, but because it was necessary. Their reverence disturbed him. He began to ask questions he had avoided for years. If these people believe so deeply, he wondered, could it be that God is real, and I have been running from him? That question followed him home. It would not leave him. God rarely shatters our lives with thunder. More often, he enters quietly, through a question that will not go away. A question that keeps us awake at night. A question that unsettles our pride. A question that exposes our emptiness. For Charles, that question was simple. What if God exists, and I have ignored him? Charles returned to France. He did not experience visions. He did not hear voices. Instead, he knelt in a confessional and whispered words he had not spoken in years. I believe. That moment changed everything, but not immediately on the outside. Charles did not become famous. He did not begin preaching. He did not found a movement. He chose something far more difficult. He chose obscurity. Charles became obsessed with one idea, the hidden life of Jesus in Nazareth. Jesus spent 30 years unknown, uncelebrated, working quietly. If God himself chose hiddenness, Charles reasoned, then perhaps holiness was not about influence, but about love lived faithfully in small places. Charles became a hermit, then a priest, then a solitary presence among the poor in the Sahara. No crowds, no recognition, no success, only presence. Most of us fear being unseen. We fear that if no one notices, our lives will not matter. But St. Charles teaches us a dangerous truth. Hiddenness does not erase meaning. It purifies it. When no one applauds, motives are exposed. When no one rewards us, love becomes real. Charles dreamed of converting others, but almost no one converted. He wanted to form a community, but no one joined him. He wanted to see visible fruit, but the land remained dry. From a human perspective, his mission failed. He lived alone. He prayed alone. He died alone. Shot during political violence in 1916. No legacy, no followers, or so it seemed. Here is where heaven rewrites the story. After Charles's death, his writings were discovered. His spirituality spread quietly, then powerfully. Communities formed. Vocational movements were born. Lives were transformed. What Charles never saw, God was preparing. Holiness is not measured by what we witness, but by what we entrust to God. Charles believed in one radical idea: to see every human being as a brother or sister, not through speeches, not through strategies, but through presence, listening, sharing meals, learning language, living among the forgotten. He once wrote, "I want to cry the gospel with my life." And he did, without noise, without power, without control. So many of us delay love until conditions are perfect. When people listen, when results appear, when life becomes easier. St. Charles waited for none of these. He loved where he was, with what he had, as he was, and God accepted that offering. You may never be called to the desert, but you are called to hidden faithfulness, in your family, in your routine, in your quiet struggles. God is not disappointed by your ordinary life. He is present within it. Would you still love God if no one noticed? Would you still pray if nothing changed? Would you still remain faithful if your life never looked impressive? St. Charles answers quietly, yes, because God sees. At the end of his life, Charles did not speak of achievements. He spoke of abandonment. He wrote a prayer that would later become famous. "Father, I abandon myself into your hands." That prayer was not poetic. It was practiced, daily, silently, completely. St. Charles teaches us that holiness begins when we stop managing our lives and start offering them. Not perfectly, not dramatically, but honestly. Tonight, God is not asking you to change the world. He is asking you to be faithful where you are, to love without recognition, to remain without reward, to trust without proof. That is not failure. That is holiness. May St. Charles de Foucauld teach us the courage to live unseen and deeply loved by God.